Hello everybody, welcome back to the ranking series and welcome back for part 2 of our regional Pokemon rankings design. Quick recap, as you can see on screen, we have done Gen 7's Pokemon of their regional designs. We're going to go into Gen 8 today. On this video, quick recap, we've got ourselves 2 Fs, 1 D, 4 Cs, 5 Bs, 2 As, 4 S's, as you can see on screen, and the criteria I'm using for that is we're looking at design, we're looking at regional implication of the Pokemon, and a third, it's much softer category, preferences and notes on each Pokemon. So, without further ado, let's get back to ranking these wonderful, wonderful Pokemon. So here we go, and we're going to start with Gen 8. So, where were we? I'm looking for a regional Meowth, and I do not see one. Oh, there's my regional Meowth. What am I talking about? I'm a dope. Sorry. My bad, dog. So, regional Meowth. I like this regional Meowth so much more than the regional Meowth of Alola. The Galarian Meowth is an A for me. I love it. Again, I'm biased towards the bearded look, obviously. However, beyond that, I think it just works as this mangy wild cat and does well what I think regional designs are best with the idea of giving you something different with a cool concept of a Pokemon. Meowth, the lucky cat Meowth vibe that the OG has is tremendous from a character standpoint. I'm not huge into Meowth, but it's obvious why it's super popular. Then to get a really poorly done, without logic in my mind, regional of Alola and Meowth is kind of disappointing. And then I think it's completely redeemed in Galar because it's a what-if question. Well, what if instead of this more refined lucky cat, it's this just wild, mangy creature that also evokes history of the real life place that is inspiring this region. For those that haven't caught this on the channel, I was an English student. I have an English degree. That's from University of Wisconsin Parkside, if you can see that on my shirt. I just did that angle for a really dumb reason. But I'm wearing my University of Wisconsin Parkside shirt right now, which is why I did that. I have an English degree from there. While you're in an English degree, at least with Parkside, we had to do a history of English language. And it goes a lot into actually, you had to do a lot of learning about the UK's history, especially early history, because it informed all the ways the English language changed. And it was really interesting when Sword and Shield was coming out because it was one of the biggest uses of my English degree I'd ever had. Because people were like, oh, like I remember talking to friends and family that were getting into Sword and Shield, and they were like, well, why this, and why does it evolve into this like Viking? I'm like, well, actually, there's a lot of history of that in the UK beyond the fact that obviously Vikings were there at one point. It's like they were crucial to the evolution of how that country and how that region of the world evolved into what it is now. And Galarian Meowth hits all those vibes so well. I love Berserker. I'm not going to do evolutions in this one because I think they did that evolution, and all those evolutions deserve their own special attention. However, with that being said, I think it evokes the perfection that I love in Berserker, and it really hits those Viking vibes and that wild vibe to give a different vibe. Love Galarian Meowth. I think it's great. On to Galarian Ponyta. I think Galarian Ponyta, for obvious reasons, is an S. If you want it, if you're a My Little Pony fan, you finally found your Pokemon. I'm not a My Little Pony fan personally. My knowledge of My Little Pony comes from coaching my 3 and 4 year olds in soccer from back in the day. But it's so obviously well designed for that crowd. But I love the more rainbow-esque vibe, the magical vibe, the mythical creature getting closer to a unicorn vibe of Galarian Ponyta. I think it's great. Don't like the typing. I think it should be fairy and not psychic, but that's just me. But what a beautiful design. What a beautiful, fun design. Tremendous. Now, Galarian Rapidash, I actually think... Ooh, I'll give it an A, but I think it might be more towards a B. Personally. You know what? I'm going to give it a B. I don't like Galarian Rapidash as nearly as much as I like Galarian Ponyta. I actually love Ponyta and Rapidash. They are low-key favorites of mine, actually. You know, there's some of those Pokemon that if someone asked me my favorites, they wouldn't immediately blurt out of my mouth. But if you went through and consistently kept ranking Pokemon, they'd keep going higher and higher because I do enjoy them quite a bit. Galarian Rapidash, for me, very much goes into this I'm Barbie's horse vibe, which I don't think is inherently positive. Not because that's a bad thing, but because I think it loses a little bit more of the Pokemon vibe. And even the eye just slightly changes enough for me that it takes it away from that wild aspect of the original Rapidash into this very curated vibe, and it's not inherently what I like about it. It does look like a mythical unicorn, but then it bothers me that it looks like a mythical unicorn that isn't a fairy type. Even though the color scheme and the design scream fairy type, it's not. That drives me insane. But I just think the facial shape changes enough, the eye changes enough, and the rest with the beautiful flowing mane, it changes for the negative from Rapidash for me and doesn't evoke that as much. Where Galarian Ponyta is so clearly a different variation, but a clear Ponyta. Where I don't think Galarian Rapidash inherently does that as well. Moving on to Galarian Slowpoke. I'm a huge Slowpoke fan. I think Galarian Slowpoke is an A. I adore it because it really hits the same vibes of Slowpoke with the pose. I think that's tremendous. I don't know how I feel about the speed feature. I thought it was a fun little giggle in the game. But inherently, just by the Pokemon, I'm not sure how I feel about it. However, I just love the pose. I think that's great. And just the subtle nods of the yellow. Not even the subtle. Yellow's hard to be subtle. But the yellow there with the tail, with the headpiece is very kind of fun and endearing for a Pokemon like that. And what I really think is really smart about the yellow on the tail is it makes it look more of a target. You know, white could be somewhat confused in water, theoretically, based off reflections and things from the original Slowpoke tail and then that paler pink that's on the tail of the OG Slowpoke. Whereas you're not going to find a lot of natural yellow near the surface of water. And so it makes it a target for Shelder to come bite it and make it a Slowbro, which I think is really, really smart. And that's why I'll give an A to Galarian Slowpoke. Now, Galarian Slowbro, I think, is a really interesting design. I don't like it personally as... I'm not huge into Slowbro nearly as much as I am into Slowpoke. I dig the typing vibes. I did the color changes. The cannon on the hand versus the shell on the back of the tail gets me because I think it's a cool idea in concept, but then kind of takes away from the beauty of Slowbro's design, which was this dimwit, slow-witted Pokemon somehow lured another Pokemon into its area to evolve. And then it's kind of like it almost takes away the reward of that thought process from a Slowpoke. So that's where I'd go. But I think it's a very cool, well done design. I just think it, for that reason, I'll take it down to a B because I think it takes away from some of the lore. But inherently, I do like the cannon concept with the skull in it, with the shell, I should say, on the hand. I think that's pretty cool. Now, Galarian Farfetch'd. I like Galarian Farfetch'd but I don't like it as much as OG Farfetch'd. I'm a huge OG Farfetch'd fan. I love ducks. I love duck Pokemon. I like that the leek is frayed. I think that's cool. The head piece gives a little bit more of the Centurion vibe, which again evokes the history of Great Britain and the UK. Using my English degree, it is weird how much my degree is used in Pokemon analysis. But alas. But I just think it's not as fun or appealing as OG Farfetch'd. But not a ton changes except slight color schemes. So that's why I'd go, it's a B. It stays kind of right there with a good Pokemon. It's still a great design. But I think Farfetch'd is also a great design. Alrighty, so we're going to continue. Where are the rest of it? So I should go back to Galarian Slowking. So here's my thing with Galarian Slowking. I think it does a little too much. I love the idea of the shell on the head being the crown, but then to make it this like mystic witch sorcerer thing is a bit odd with that. And then the typing is also odd on both of these guys. That, from my knowledge, it's going to kill me. I don't remember the typing on Galarian Slowking. For some reason, I just remembered I didn't like it. I just think, I love the little cape vibe. I think that's really fun. I just don't see where it all computes very well with the shelter on top of the head. If this was a Pokemon that I saw on its own, all for it. But I think if you already have a great basis in the original Slowking, which made sense with a King's Rock, how it got a crown on its head and kind of moved the shell piece, that I'm cool with. To take that idea and then make it far more this like monstrous thing without a whole lot of idea behind it, that's where I think it's a C for me. I enjoy it. I think, I'll make it a B. Because I do enjoy it a lot. I just think it's not nearly as good as the original Slowking. And it's super cool, but it doesn't make a ton of sense. I think that's the best way to say it. Alrighty. I'm just looking to make sure, because whoever put this up, however kind they are, kind of put it in an odd order. I'll just get this one over with. Galarian Mr. Mime. It's an F. Galarian Mr. Mime is just as bad, almost as bad as OG Mr. Mime. Mr. Mime is awful. Hate it. And have never liked it. And I don't like Galarian Mr. Mime either. It's a little bit better. But no, hate it. Can't stand it. Get out of my life. Yeah. Now, continuing. Galarian Weezing is an A for this. It evokes that revolutionary period and hits the history really well. So it does so well at evoking the region and the inspiration behind the region that is why I have it as an A. This odd, gentlemanly, weird, and yet still found a way to be poison type or poisonish vibes Weezing is genius. It's brilliant. A lot of I keep going into my degree, I'm sorry. A lot of my degree was based off of Dracula. Dracula set late 1800s, that real industrial London. This just gives me such industrial London vibes. Galarian Weezing looks like a robber baron. It looks like a guy who's trying to rip off as many people as possible while looking like a gentleman and destroying the planet as much as possible for its own profit. That's what Galarian Weezing is, and I love that idea being evoked in that. But it's such an off-the-wall thing. That's why I probably won't have it as an S. But it's a great idea. I love Galarian Weezing. It's quite fun. Going back to Galar. Galarian Cursula, I have as an S. For this reason. Galarian Cursula is an ingenious idea for... I think it's better that you see the Hisuian Voltorb here as well. What was the meme I saw? I saw a meme or something on Instagram. And it was kind of like the humans destroyed my life vibe. And it was Hisuian, Zorua, and Zoroark Hisuian Voltorb, and Galarian Cursula was like the humans ruled the world or ruined the world starter pack, and it's so smart. I love the idea of the coral reefs being destroyed and being turned into an ingenious Pokemon. Cursula by itself with that lovely, beautiful pink coral color and the happy vibe that a Cursula has, or a Corsola, I should say, that Corsola has in Gen 2, to then take this dead, dying, bleached piece of coral and make it sad in a ghost type is brilliant. It's brilliant. It sends a message without hitting you over the head with it. I love the ideas evoked by that. I love that, especially after we just covered some of the destruction-based ideas of Weezing, to then go into this the Corsola. So smart. And it's a really well designed. It looks weathered. It looks kind of dying. It looks like a ghost Pokemon. I love it. I think Galarian Corsola is super, super cool. And was super excited to see it in the game, frankly. Alrighty, now we're going to go Galarian Zigzagoon. Galarian Zigzagoon is... I'll give it an A, because if I don't have it above Vulpix or Meowth over here, I think that's kind of a travesty. Actually, I'll just do this. And then I'll do this. I think it's an S. I think they're all S's, really. That's not nice. That's not cool. I shouldn't do that. My bad. I'll give it back to an A. Sorry for the thoughts on air. So, I love it because it evokes that punk rock vibe and the basis of punk rock, coming from the UK and the States, I think is tremendous in that rocker or that rock star vibe. I love that being put into Zigzagoon, because Zigzagoon is such an interesting, understated, even though it's a spiky design, Pokemon, that I don't think gets enough love, personally. And to have this over-the-top, hit-you-in-the-face design with such an understated Pokemon is brilliant. And I love it. Completely changes the vibe of it while still giving the notes of the original. I love Galarian Zigzagoon. I think that's tremendous, personally. Galarian Darumaka, I'm going to give a B. It's kind of... It has more of the Alolan Sandshrew vibe, in that it has ice crystals. But I don't think they're... Actually, I'm going to give it a C. It's a fun, cute Pokemon. It is. Darumaka is a fun Pokemon inherently. But it has ice crystals and got changed to white, and I don't think it hits the same vibes that these two do, that I said in a positive way. I don't think it hits that as well. And that's where I'd have it as a C. And I'll go the same thing with Darmanitan. Actually, I'm going to give Darmanitan a D. It's clearly going for a polar vibe, almost a Santa Claus vibe. I understand why. The big centerpiece on the head is kind of dumb. It started the big head trend with Calyrex coming after it for Galar. I don't find that to be a really appealing thing. Again, love the bearded look. The subtle bearded look is even cooler. And I do like the color scheme, but I just think it takes away from the already good character vibes that Darmanitan has in its character design. And then to get it in a very odd way and doing like a giant hat idea, I just didn't think it was executed well, so that's why I'll put Galarian Darmanitan as D. Now, Galarian Yamask, on the other hand, that bad boy is an A. I love Galarian Yamask. I think there should be almost a regional Yamask. The same as there should always be a regional Meowth. Shame on Paldea for not having a regional Meowth. I think there should almost be a regional Yamask every single region. Simply because there's so much material to use. Everybody across the planet throughout history has different ideas of burial practices, has different ideas of honoring the dead, honoring their ancestors, telling different ways of history. There's so many ways human beings have done that. Yamask is a great reflection of all those things in the original and the Galarian, which is why I like it so much. I think there should just be a regional Yamask all the time. I think it'd be really, really wise to do that. But alas, they have not done that, so alas. But I love, they kept the really smart vibes, changed the color scheming, and went with the more cave painting look or the rune look. Adore it. Love Galarian Yamask. I think it's great. It's an A. Alrighty. Now, we finally are down to our legendaries. I think I might do all of them right now. Together. Here's what I'm thinking. I hate the idea of regional legendaries. I really do, actually. I get why, I guess, of the group to do it, the legendary birds doesn't make the worst sense. That's double negative. It at least kind of makes sense. I don't personally like the idea. I think it's a flawed concept. And then to get what we got, I think is really flawed. You have Galarian Articuno and not having even a semblance of snow to it, ice to it, at least to nod back, is really kind of dumb. Just why? And then it looks like a wise bird. I don't hate the design inherently that, that's awful. I do like it. I just hate the idea, the concept behind it, and I hate the execution of it because I just think it's lesser than Articuno. And Articuno is already one of the more simplistic legendaries. But then to take some of the positives of it and take it away and not bring a lot more positives back, in my opinion, I'll have it as a D. Now, Galarian Moltres, my issues with it are based off the positives it brings. Galarian Moltres is an incredibly rad design. That thing is metal. That is too sweet. However, it looks like it's a raging flame bird. It looks more like a mega evolution to Moltres, the original, than it does this like Dark Phoenix vibe. Obviously, it has a Dark Phoenix vibe. That's not necessarily the greatest words to say because it's black and red. It's got this like dead Phoenix vibe. But then to get a dark typing and a flying typing when there's still such clear fire in it. And it looks to me more like a mega evolution of Moltres than it does a regional variant of Moltres. So the positives even take away from it. And if they said, hey, we got a mega evolution of Moltres, and they showed me that, I'd be like, sign me up. Where can I sign up? But it doesn't, I don't think it gives the right vibes for a regional version of it, and that's there. Regional Zapdos, the reason I have it higher is this. I think it takes the positives of the Zapdos design with more of the spiked angular look, which is very different compared to other Pokemon, and then completely spins on its head and changes it in a different way that at least you can feel like it's a different Pokemon in a positive way. Where I don't think Articuno does that. Articuno does way too much evoking of Articuno, in my opinion, to do that. Apologies. Galarian Zapdos completely changes the vibe. It's a running bird. It looks more like a road runner. It looks like it's down for a fight. It wants to screw you up. It wants to mess you up. Love that. And the color scheming gives it more that fighting, tough bird vibe that Zapdos already had, but like turns it up to 10. That I appreciate quite a bit. And so from that aspect, that's why I have Galarian Zapdos as a B. But I don't like the concept in general, which inherently takes them all down, specifically Articuno and then Moltres as well. But that's a lot of my biggest issues with the three of them. And, you know, the Galarian regional versions of the legendary birds, I think, is flawed. I just think it's flawed. However, that is going to do it for part 2 of 3 from our regional Pokemon variants design and rankings. I hope you enjoyed the content. If you did, please give it a like, follow, subscribe, and give me a comment and share it as much as you can. If you haven't seen, I got some polls up, trying to engage with you guys a lot more, getting more content, more shorts. Follow me on TikTok, Instagram, Twitch, here on YouTube, wherever you find this. Wherever you find it, I hope you're enjoying it, and thank you so much for watching. But in the meantime, and in between time, I'll see you back for part 3 of this video. I'll catch you on the flip side. Deuces. Bye!